I do like that. Calling to order the Board of Education meeting for Sacramento Unified School District.
Thank you for clarifying.
All right, so we're going to go to item 4.1. If our second vice president will join us. Had to do it, man. I apologize.
Because you're used to getting called out.
I get called out so much, right? It's one of those times. One of those times. Okay, so item 4.1, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 4.2, broadcast statement.
This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being recorded and will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse. Today's meeting will be aired Monday, September 11th at 12 p.m. and Wednesday, September 13th at 12 p.m. It is also webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and can be viewed on Metro Cable 14's YouTube channel. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form, which are located in the back of the room, and give them to our communications representative, along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to item 5.0, announcements of actions taken in closed session.
Good evening, President Rhodes. There are 3 announcements coming out of closed session this evening. First, the board approved a special education settlement agreement identified as OAH case number 2023-050758 by a vote of 6-0 with member Villa absent. Second, the board approved a special education settlement agreement identified as OAH case number 2023-060987 by a vote of 7-0. The last announcement will be made by Superintendent Allen.
Thank you. I am pleased to announce that the board approved by a vote of 7-0 the appointment of Kelly Dunkley as principal of Capital City Schools.
Okay, going to item 6.0, agenda adoption. Before we adopt our agenda, we need to remove item 12.1H because that contract is not ready currently. And so, do we have to have a vote for that one? I think we do. So we're going to take a vote to accept that amendment actually, do we have a motion to accept? So moved. I'll second that. And roll call vote for amending of that item. Student board member preferential vote. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada?
He's not here.
Oh. Member Phillips? Member Pritchett? Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. That will come back at a later date. Item 7.0, do we have public comment?
We do. We have about 8 speakers.
Perfection. Please call them up.
First speaker, David Wong, followed by Tiffany McBride, and then Penny Peterman.
Welcome, Mr. Wong.
My name is Derek Wong. I work as an instructional aide at Luther Burbank High School for 20 years. I work with students with autism, disabled student with wheelchair or walker, or student with learning disability. I earn $21.30 an hour, and my monthly income is $1,817.81. I live in poverty. I have coworkers who earn less. They are in worse financial situation than me. Recently, the district and SCTA reached a tentative agreement in which the SCTA member will receive a nice salary increase. These hardworking people deserve a salary that will keep up with the cost of living. When will the district negotiate a contract with SEIU? The SEIU member labor daily to support their educational system, and many of them are earning a poverty wage. The SEIU member need to earn a livable wage so that they're not living in poverty. Please have your representative meet with the SEIU bargaining team to negotiate a contract so the SEIU member will earn a livable wage and not live in poverty. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And then, Superintendent, just for a point of clarity, are we already have things scheduled with SEIU to meet with them around bargaining?
Our negotiations team has submitted emails back and forth with SEIU to start those proceedings.
Okay. Thank you for that point of clarification. Next speaker.
Next speaker, Tiffany McBride, followed by Hene Peterman.
Hello, Ms. McBride.
Hello. I'm not sure if you all have had an opportunity to read my emails, but I have submitted them individually as well as through the website regarding the Transitional Kindergarten Collaborative Classroom Program and its termination, and my sincere and severe concerns regarding the way that that was conducted, as well as the impact that that's going to have on these students. And my questions to the district at this point have gone unanswered. My area rep is not here, but he and I have had some discussion, and it really hasn't answered the initial questions, which is, what is the plan from the district regarding the learning loss? This program was initially designed to be a 6-hour program. The information that I've gotten since then is that the TK program is a 200 instructional minutes program. That is also untrue. I'm having a hard time understanding what services are being provided. And when I say what services are being provided, what I mean is that the information that I'm getting is inaccurate. And not only is the information that I'm getting inaccurate, but then when I'm raising questions of the learning loss and what is the plan going forward and why the program wasn't consolidated and when the program is going to be reinstituted and what's going to happen in the future and when is the program going to be expanded? What are the plans for the kinder model? What services are families going to be provided? What is the district willing to do since parents made plans and at this point the program was terminated essentially 24 hours before the start, leaving them with no additional educational opportunities to make a different decision for the academic well-being for their children. I haven't gotten any answers on those questions. And so I'm here presenting that again to the board. I have emailed all of you personally. Like I said, my area rep is not here. Ms. Allen, I've called your office because I've subsequently been told after a lot of runaround that you're the person I need to speak to. So my question is, when will I get some answers? And who do I need to speak to get them?
Thank you for your time. We'll have somebody connect with you. Next speaker.
Hene Peterman, followed by Naima Peterman, and then Amber Moss. No Peterman? Do we have Naima Peterman?
Okay, can somebody help her put it down?
Hello, my name is Naima Peterman. I go to school at MLK K through 8. I would like a new slide because over the summer somebody blew it up with fireworks. And I would like a sunshade because it gets very hot on the blacktop. What can you do about that?
We will. That's beautiful. We will have somebody, one of our staff, get in touch with you around your concerns. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next speaker, Amber Moss, followed by Shanna Just, and then Jason Burke.
Good evening, Board. I am here on behalf of my son. He's a student of Rosemont High School. He was supposed to start school on last Thursday when the school year began. He went to school to find out that he had been disenrolled. When he received a re-enrollment packet, and when he brought it home and I filled it out, we turned it back in. He still has not been enrolled. I know that on the district site, it says that the children can be enrolled at the school site level. I have reached out to the registrar. She was very rude and got off the phone with me. I spoke with the actual vice principal. He has not returned any calls. I have not spoke with him since last week. My son is literally missing school. I was told that Sac High submitted paperwork and requested that he be disenrolled from Rosemont High School. I have paperwork from Sac High saying that we never contacted Rosemont and asked him to do a disenrollment. This is my last resort. I reached out to the school. I reached out to the Board of Education office on today. I've also reached out to the Ombudsman's office. I've also left a message for the superintendent's office. My son is literally missing educational time. He is in his junior year. I need help. That's it.
Thank you so much. Next speaker. Hello?
Hey, good evening, back again. So once again, I'm here to talk about community schools, right? So it's been about 5 weeks since we had the community schools agreement, right? 3 weeks since I was last here. Talking about not only the euphoria we felt over finally reaching that agreement, right? But the steps that we needed to take moving forward. So in that 3 weeks since I was last here, really nothing has happened. No discussions on getting the job descriptions for the community schools training specialists. Not really any progress, at least visibly, on getting the steering committee constituted and getting that first meeting started. We're losing time. The 12 new schools, right, this is their first year, but for the 6 schools like mine, like Burbank, we've already lost a year. Right? We can't afford to keep losing time and keep waiting and waiting and waiting for things to get started. Right? We have needs now. We had needs a year ago. So really just want to push, we've got to get those job descriptions done because we can't post the jobs until we have a job description, right? We can't start recruiting people for those positions until we get those job descriptions, right? We can't do anything district-wide till we get that steering committee constituted, right? We really got to get moving forward this is. And I know beginning of school, there's a lot of stuff. I know I'm tired. My stamina isn't built back up for teaching all day long, getting up at 4:30 in the morning, but we got to get going. We really just don't have time to waste. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker?
Next speaker is Jason Burke, followed by Renee Webster Hawkins.
Mr. Burke, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
All right, so some of you know me. My name is Jason Burke. I'm a 20-year educator in Sac City. I was a behavior specialist for 18 years, and then some of these board cut our positions, the whole behavior department. Now I'm an SDC ED teacher at Luther Burbank. I love it, love the school. One of the things I think we need to improve upon is our communication. So I'm a member of the CAC, and currently there is no CAC meetings on the book, which is required that every SELPA has a CAC. That is ed code. There's no meetings on the book. There's no meetings, so there's basically no parent oversight of the special ed department currently. One of the things that we're talking about today with the SELPA overview was pulled from the June meeting because there was no parent oversight, because the June meetings for the CAC were canceled. It is now September. No meetings are canceled that have been scheduled, nothing. So we need admin support to get this done. We need Director Linares to support the CAC and these parents. These parents are a valuable tool, okay? I have seen some of these parents are more knowledgeable than, they are the experts on their children in special education. Okay, even more than teachers, even more than things. You know, I have a broad knowledge. They have acute knowledge on their students. So we need to support the CAC, 100%. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair, Superintendent Allen, members of the board. I know many of you, some of you I've never met before. It's my first in-person meeting in 3.5 years. My name is Renee Webster Hawkins, and I've been active with the Community Advisory Committee and on several school site councils and continue to be so. I'm going to address some of the comments that Mr. Burke just made later on when I speak for the Community Advisory Committee during the community engagement piece. As public comment, though, I'd like to talk to you about something that really matters to the success of our students. We talk about making sure that all of our students have the widest array of options to whatever they decide to do after they graduate and leave us. Dual enrollment, let's talk about that. It's very important. And it is a little bit of a lightning rod for some people, and there's some policy issues that the adults need to work out. We need to work that out because our students need dual enrollment. The studies show that the more time that all of our students have being exposed to and experiencing college dictates is a direct linear relationship to their success after high school, to their success in college. And the policy things that you all can work on to make sure that we break down these barriers include getting MOUs in place with our local community colleges in our region. For whatever reason, it's balkanized, Los Rios, you have to go to each of the community colleges. We need to figure that out. We just need to break it down, make sure that every student at every one of our high schools has a clear path to go to the community college of their choice, not just Sac City, might be Consumnes, might be ARC, might be Sierra. So we need to do that. There's board policies that may be getting in the way of all of our students taking dual enrollment when they need it. And then, again, the labor issues, we just need to be leaders and step up. Our students need it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No more public comment.
Okay. Next, we will go into item 8.0, employee organization reports. We'll start off with SCTA.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Allen. I'm Nikki Malevsky, President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. While there remains a whole lot of work to do, I'm happy to say the year is off to a great start. Just a short while ago, SCTA members ratified the new wage agreement by over a 98% margin. And we especially wanted to acknowledge the very constructive role that the supermajority of the school board played in steering the district towards reaching an agreement. We also want to recognize the leadership of Superintendent Lisa Allen, who has, in a very short time, already set SCUSD on a more constructive, cooperative path with its certificated educators. As we mentioned at our previous meeting, the district's new bargaining team, led by Chief Human Resource Officer Kansi McCarn, along with Chief Academic Officer Yvonne Wright, Assistant Superintendent for Business Services Jesse Castillo, and Monica Garland from HR, have established a climate of trust at the bargaining table that we expect to continue as we resume negotiations for 23-24 and 24-25. A couple of things are worth pointing out. This is the first negotiations in almost a decade where impasse was not declared. We did not proceed to fact-finding, and we were not forced to take a strike vote. Instead, extremely constructive discussions occurred both at the bargaining table and in budget-focused sidebars, where we were able to fashion an agreement that will enable the district to take big steps towards addressing its staffing shortage while working within SCUSD's budget framework. We hope and expect the district will take a similarly constructive approach to its negotiations with our classified sisters and brothers represented by SEIU Local 1021. In the short time that the district has moved in a new leadership direction, the improvements have been immediate. Administrators are once again empowered to meet with us, phone calls are returned, and we are beginning to work through a backlog of issues, big and small. Having said that, I think it's important to recognize that there remain many difficult issues for us to work through, in particular challenges in special ed that need our immediate attention. And exciting new transformative community schools that we need to implement together with shared leadership and authentic engagement of our communities. For the first time in a long time, it feels like the district is oriented to solving problems rather than making them. I want to thank you for your time again and appreciate your leadership.
Thank you. Okay, and next we have our SCIU. How you doing?
Good evening. Carla Fawcett couldn't be here tonight, so I am reading a statement from her. Greetings, Superintendent Lisa Allen and school board members. I would like to bring to your attention a matter of great concern for SEIU and its members. We initiated negotiations to conduct a classification and compensation study with the company EMS, a process that has extended far beyond a reasonable time frame. Our primary concern arises from the apparent lack of consistent communication between EMS and the Human Resource Service Department throughout this process. Initially, when we embarked on this journey, the union, HR, and EMS held frequent meetings with ongoing discussions and diligent follow-ups. However, it has come to our attention that these updates have significantly dwindled and at times seem non-existent. To stay informed, I have resorted to sending regular emails to HR, often receiving little or no response. This situation leads us to believe that HR may be in communication with EMS, but unfortunately, it appears that neither the union nor its leadership are being informed. The SEIU members are profoundly disappointed, fatigued, and in some cases, growing frustrated. We represent the lowest paid employees in the district, yet we are the backbone that keeps the district running smoothly. It is important to note that the district has not provided cost of living adjustments, COLA, for several years, while the cost of living has continued to rise. We, the nearly 1,800 members, are struggling to provide our families, cover utilities, fuel our cars, and secure a place to live. Shockingly, even fast food chains like McDonald's offer wages higher to their employees compared to our district. This wage disparity has led to a significant deficit in job applications, resulting in a substantial number of vacancies within our district. Who would be eager to work for an employer that offers compensation well below the market value for its lowest paid workers? In light of these pressing concerns, SEIU urgently requests that the school board intervenes and insists that HR collaborates closely with EMS to expedite this process. We implore you to treat this agreement as an emergency, as it should have been resolved months ago. Our district desperately needs to rectify the classification and compensation discrepancies, as this will not only benefit our dedicated employees, but also help attract and retain a diverse pool of highly qualified individuals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have TCS or Teamsters or UPE in the building? Okay. We will go to item 8.2, District Advisory Committee, and we'll start with the CAC. Hello?
Good evening again. Renee Webster Hawkins, Chair of the Community Advisory Committee, and I've been involved with the Community Advisory Committee dating back to about 2014. And who are we? We, as Mr. Burke said, we're created by the Education Code, but we are of and by and for the community. We are a group of primarily parents, but it's great to be including educators and other community leaders who are concerned about our students with disabilities and the education that they're getting from this district. And we've been involved over the years in many of the educational programs for our community, for our parents. We've been involved in working alongside district leaders to obtain and try to address the Council of Great City Schools audit from 2017, which has served as the blueprint for many of the ensuing reports that have highlighted some of the disparities that our students with disabilities have. So that's who we are. We meet and have always met on the third Tuesday of the month for our general meeting at 6 p.m. We do have those meetings scheduled. What we don't have is the meetings are not on the district calendar. And we have been asking for years for dedicated admin support. We are volunteers. Individuals like Mr. Burke and other educators that work for the district that are on the committee do that on their own time. And so when we ask for something to be put either on the calendar, on the district website, it will probably, I'd challenge you to go and look at the district website and look for materials related to the CAC. They're hard to find, they're disorganized, they're some are over on the CAC, the district website, some are on the SELPA website. We need it accessible. We need to lift it up. We have great presentations every month that we record. We have every year we do a presentation on dyslexia, and they've been the most well-attended presentations. That should be an encyclopedia of video resources for any of you, for anyone in the community, but you can't find them. Some of them aren't even posted yet. We need dedicated admin support. Now, we've been asking for it. I think in the budget meetings in either May or June, Mr. Lenari's indicated that there was maybe a quarter FTE allocated in the budget. That's fine. We need a person. We need a name. We need someone who's going to work alongside with us and help us with putting posts on social media and getting the parents and community out there. So what I'd like to do is invite each of you and everyone here in the room and in the community to attend our general meetings. And if you can't find it on the calendar, please insist that they get on the calendar. I'd also just real quick, I just want to thank some of the staff that's been working with good communication over the summer with us. We've been working closely with Chief Academic Officer Yvonne Wright, the LCAP Director, Crystal Thomas, and also with Kansi McCarn, the HR Chief on the task force, and we really appreciate that involvement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
Next, going to our DLAC. Okay, LCAP. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Terrence Gladney,
Good evening. My name is Conrad Crump.
and we're both on the LCAP PAC on behalf of Board Member Phillips representing Area 7. Recently, as we've met, we've had our meetings in person, and we've really been focused on how do we make the LCAP approachable down to the constituents who we're supposed to represent, which is the students. So we really tried to rethink the way the goals are written, and we've also had a highlighted focus on making it more approachable in terms of the marketing and language. So that's not so high level, but it is something that even the youngest of our students can understand and interpret. But also, how do we get buy-in from our parents so that we can get additional support and truly represent all of the voices as much as possible across the district. We focus on Area 5. And I'm sorry, not Area 5, but goal number 5. And for example, if we look at something like chronic absenteeism, we see that is an outcome of other root causes. So we're really trying to unwrap that to figure out how do we address the root causes and focus on the most meaningful things like how do kids safely get to school. And then from there, we can hopefully reverse the trends of things like chronic absenteeism. Our meetings are open to the public, but just like Renee said, the more acknowledgement and awareness that can exist in the community, the greater our voice can be, and it really can be more reflective of our school sites. Have anything to add, Conrad?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up and just add that the accessibility and understanding of the LCAP, because it is so very complex, would really mean a lot to a lot of parents like myself and other folks that I talk with in community, so that way they can just, kind of know what's happening as it relates to the LCAP and how they can be more involved and where they can find out more information. So I think those are some key pieces that would really go a long way.
And lastly, I'll just add that through Crystal Thomas's leadership, who's our fabulous LCAP director, we are working with the communication department to really just give our stories as LCAP PAC representatives, pictures and voices behind it, so that we're not just representatives from a trustee area, but we are, parents and community members, and that we can be a lot more approachable and understandable as people beyond just our positions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going to our Student Advisory Council, do we have? Okay, next we have the BAAB. Y'all back.
Yeah, we're very engaged in community and really want to see better outcomes for our students. So good evening, Chair and board members. It's the first time I'm doing this, so bear with me. I'm looking at the clock, so I'll keep it brief. My name is Conrad Crump. I'm a health advocate, community organizer, and I'm vice chair of the Black African American Advisory Board. Beyond those titles, I'm also a proud product of Sac City Unified School District, and I'm also a proud parent of students that attend Sac City Unified School District. I'd just like to highlight very briefly some of our recent executive committee work. That work includes really laying a solid foundation to allow our communities and general board to be successful. We actually have a general board meeting upcoming next week. You all are invited. Really working proactively to grow and improve our partnership with the district, with you all, and external staff, in addition to our liaison, Danny Roleri, with the goal of continuing the energy and impact that's present with his predecessors, such as Vincent Harris, Iris Taylor, and Lisa Allen. Another area we're focused on is increasing engagement in our youth and in our families and our extended community. And, as vice chair of the board, I work with external members beyond the executive committee to really evaluate the improvement of the different recommendations that were previously adopted. So we haven't forgot about those. We're keeping that at the forefront and really just want to, be happy about the work that we're, forging on ahead. So with that, just wanted to update you all and let you all know that we are continuing in this path and look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to, I feel like we're missing something there. Yeah, we're at a 9.0. We're on 9.0, yes. Yeah, okay. 9.1, opening of schools. I just feel like I thought we used to have the student board member presentation before that, but it's not there. So I'm just wondering where that went. Am I wrong?
It used to be there.
It used to be there, right?
Yeah, I literally just got that.
It's gone. Okay, so I'm not tripping. It used to be there. It's not there now. Before the opening of the schools starts up, man, I can't even talk about this. I'm doing it. Like, okay. All right. So, anyway, we figured that out. I'm sitting like, what's going on here? No, it's okay. It's okay. All right. 9.1. Opening of schools.
Good evening, Board President Rhodes, Superintendent Allen, and trustees. My name is Yvonne Wright. I'm the Chief Academic Officer, and we'll be presenting the opening of schools presentation. As always, our core values and our guiding principle guides us in our work and our implementation of our work this year. As you can see by this picture, we had a wonderful, amazing, and awesome first day of school. Kicking off the first day of school successfully is supported by work in every department, site, and school in our district. It is inclusive of the work that has transpired over the summer, as well as planning for the school year. While everyone in the district has worked hard this summer, will continue to work hard, and they've played a significant role in ensuring that the opening of schools is a success. We'll hear from the departments represented here today and be ready to answer questions that you may have from other areas as well.
Respected Board President, Honorable Board Members, and dear Superintendent, I am Manpreet Kaur, Director Youth Development.
Oh, there we go.
Good evening, Board Member Rhodes, Superintendent Lisa Allen, and board members. My name is Neng Her. I'm the Director of Summer School and Extended Learning. In collaboration tonight with Manpreet, we will talk and provide some information on summer school.
So summer 2023 was our 12th year of running summer programming in Sac City Unified by Youth Development. As you know, Youth Development Support Services is a grant-funded department, so all these programs that you see up here, they were paid by Expanded Learning, state and federal programs, grants. And this summer was huge, and this was only made possible by our certificated staff, classified staff, different departments, our site administrators. I also want to mention that you see the number of certificated staff over here, and that's only for K-8. We are still waiting for staff and teachers who were, and classified staff who worked at our high schools, at the high schools. This was first year when we had sports camps at our middle schools, and we collaborated with our sports coordinator.
And in closing, as you look at the slide, our students enjoyed not just academic intervention, but they enjoyed numerous field trips, participated in music, art, dance, and sports activities. Thank you.
So Youth Development Support Services, we run many programs, but however, today we are only going to talk about expanded learning. And as you say, expanded learning comes a lot of things. And I put summer 2024 on this slide too, because we are getting ready for summer 2024 now. So all these programs that you see before, after summer, and credit recovery elective courses in expanded learning are being paid by state and federal program grants. We are running at 70 sites, and I want to let the board know that out of these 70 sites, at 20 sites, we are running before school programs too, and a lot of high schools are going to have zero period. They already have, or they are getting ready to have zero periods. We will continue to collaborate with our sports coordinator to have sports leagues, not only at the elementary, but starting this year, also at the middle school sites. And we are very excited about that collaboration. And all these programs are being run with the collaboration of different departments, number of certificated staff, classified staff, and also site administration. And of course, our community partners who are our biggest assets. And I also want to let you guys know that as of today, just in K6, we have 7,568 applications, just in K6 for after-school programs. So I just want the board and the superintendent remind you that the magnitude of this work. And we do not know how many paper applications are at the sites. So with that, I will hand over to my colleague.
Good evening, Chris Rawson, Director of Facilities, representing a large facilities department that is taking a breath from a very busy summer, and we're very excited to share some of the results that we've had. $126 million from Measure Q, ESSER, and the beginning of H was spent this summer in representing 99 active projects. Some of the data providing in the amount of pavement that we've replaced, flooring that we've replaced, ventilation improvements in almost 20% of our campuses and classrooms. It's been a very active, successful, we hit all of our goals and our completion dates as we had promised our sites. Other big news, hey, Cesar Chavez is located somewhere else, and well, Nicholas doesn't exist anymore. And I just want to thank not only the board and the staff, Mr. Browning, also in facilities. We only had 2 families show up at Nicholas, the old Nicholas, asking where school was. And I think that's a pretty good testament to Mr. Browning and his community outreach and making sure that we were able to notify these families. We've had lots of family engagement, and that will continue this year, not only at Chavez and Nicholas, but we are getting ready to kick off groundbreaking next week at Oak Ridge, our 3rd vision project of the first set from Measure H. Will do its groundbreaking on the 14th. We'll be excited to see all of you there. And then they will be mobilizing at the end of September. But you can see on the slide, it's just beginning. We're going to begin 3 brand new vision projects, major modernization at Fern Bacon Middle School, a brand new Pacific Elementary School, and we're still figuring out what Bowling Greens will look like, but that will also receive vision bond work in the next 4 years, slated to open in September of 2027. So we are always thinking outside. Pacific will follow Nicholas at CB Wire, so we're ready to begin these transitions and just keep the projects coming. And we appreciate you guys supporting not only our department, but all bonds and helping spread that success with your community so that they feel good about the tax investments that they're putting in.
Good evening, board members. I am Tiffany Smith-Simmons, and I'm here to share a little bit around our staffing and what we did to prepare for opening of schools. The slide says that our recruitment began in January. That's where our presence started at various educator recruitment events, but we actually started our recruitment last July. We offered open contracts to our 2022-23 student teachers. Each year, we average about 80 to 90 student teachers in our classrooms. Those are teacher learners that are learning the culture and climate of Sac City. And I'm very happy to say that we have 60 of our student teachers in classrooms this year through our open contracts to student teachers. We also went to local hiring events and throughout the state. We went to Chico State, Fresno State, UC Davis, Sac State, and a number of community recruitment events because we didn't just focus on certificated, we also focused on classified positions as well. So we went to You Better Work event at the LGBTQ Center in Sacramento. We went to EDD, and we also partnered with CRC and local churches and organizations. We hosted hosted over 170 one-on-one sessions to speak with potential educators after each of those events if they were interested in working here in Sac City. And then we had a very innovative couple weeks in July at the California State Fair at our Come Grow With Us event.
Thank you. Good evening. The slide you see before you is the certificated vacancy dashboard that's available live, updated daily on our website. For the 23-24 school year, 247 certificated positions have been filled, 190 classified, and 28 management positions to date. We received and processed 372 resignation and retirements from January to current. 51 leave of absences have been processed. 987 certificated and classified substitutes who are currently eligible to work. 786 of those are classroom teachers. From the first day of school, we had 103 certificated substitute teacher requests on the first day of school. That's the lowest that we've had in the last 3 years. So it's a good trend. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, board members and superintendent. My name is Giovanna Washington Whitfee, the Director of Enrollment. For the 23-24 school year, the actual enrollment of students, we had 39,153 students that are enrolling, and we are currently monitoring our enrollment. The Enrollment Center has online registration that's open 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Once parents submit their application, a technician will reach out to them by text, email, or phone. The Enrollment Center hours have in-person support. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. We are closed from lunch from 11:30 to 12 p.m. And then Fridays, we're open 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. However, we do have lobby hours, which is 8 to 5, Monday through Fridays, and that's where parents can submit application and pick up paper applications. Parents have the options to enroll at their neighborhood school, and that started August the 14th, and that's open until September the 11th. Our Matriculation Orientation Center, they monitor our language lines and contact parents within 24 hours. Those languages are Spanish, Hmong, Chinese, Farsi, Vietnamese, and Russian. We also have Chromebooks that are available for our parents who need extra assistance in terms of filling out online applications. And I would like to add, this year we had our second annual Get to Know Us Fair, which we had about 700 people, families, to come out and get to know us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erin Hansen, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Professional learning is a critical element in the kickoff of a new school year, setting the tone for teaching and learning, setting expectations and support for Tier 1 universal instruction and learning environments, and arming our staff with the current and research best practices. This summer, our certificated staff in the CNI and multilingual departments conceptualized and delivered our first ever Summer Teacher Professional Learning Conference, designed by and for our educators. Training specialists gathered feedback from their work with classroom teachers, analyzed the professional learning needs of our system, identified areas in a 2-week-long conference. Certificated staff in CNI, multilingual special education, and early learning and care facilitated more than 160 sessions in ELA, ELD, math, sciences, history and social studies, VEPA, EdTech, PE, culture, climate, SPED, and early learning and care. They served nearly 500 teachers during the 2 weeks, filling 2,364 seats over the course of that time. The feedback has been incredible. You can see it here with 90% of respondents expressing satisfaction with the overall experience and with the individual sessions. Teachers indicated that they appreciated the variety and choice, the time to connect and collaborate with peers across sites and disciplines, our knowledgeable and engaging facilitators, the ease of communication and registration, and they are asking for more professional learning opportunities, coaching, and support from our training specialists. In August, we provided professional learning to our site and department leaders and to all certificated staff. These sessions aligned directly with our strategic priorities. Specifically, we focused our efforts on building a common language and understanding around trauma-informed principles and practices, building cultures of reflection and data, and ensuring site staff are aware of and can access and utilize the resources available through the Curriculum and Instruction Department. Site leaders engaged in collaboration around building their instructional leadership capacity, and certificated staff had access to job-specific training as well as time for mandated trainings, collaboration, planning, and prep. Feedback from all of these sessions is critical as we work to continuously improve our professional learning support of leaders and staff. In the graphs here, you can see the overall favorable responses from both groups with regard to the sessions being engaging, supporting their growth, and being relevant and meaningful. We also know, though, that within these graphs lies important information about how we can improve our work. So analyzing this data along with that from the Summer Learning Conference is critical as we continue to develop professional learning with our staff. In addition to professional learning, our library textbook services team works tirelessly throughout the spring and summer to ensure that every student has access to district-adopted instructional materials. This summer, in addition to the ongoing work they do, they received, processed, and delivered instructional materials for our new History Social Studies adoption and an update to our K-2 instructional materials. LTS and our site leaders are currently working together to prepare for our annual Williams visits, which monitor our instructional materials sufficiency. You'll hear more about that in a following board meeting. This slide is just a preview of our focus areas for professional learning as we continue to develop a through line and build our collective capacity for culturally responsive teaching and learning, multi-tiered systems of support, and high-quality instruction. As I hand it over to Dr. Gibson, I would like to give a quick shout out to our directors of professional learning, coordinators, training specialists, LTS, and clerical staff in the C&I, multilingual, student support and health services, early learning and care, special education, and college and career readiness departments who made all of this professional learning work possible this summer. Dr. Gibson.
Hi. Good evening, Board, President Rhodes and Superintendent Allen. It is a joy that we as a district serve our youngest learners. We are celebrating that we are a pre-K-12 district, right? So in the Early Learning and Care department, we support pre-K, TK, school age, and infant toddler. And I'm your new Assistant Superintendent of Early Learning and Care, and it's an honor to come before you this evening. With transitional kindergarten, as we know, it's the first year of a 2-year kindergarten experience that is developmentally appropriate for our youngest learners, and it aligns our preschool learning foundations along with our kindergarten content standards. So celebrating that we are expanding transitional kindergarten, we started off with the original 10 sites, and we call them our pioneers, now to 33 sites total in the year of 23-24. So we want to celebrate that we are growing and expanding and providing opportunities for our youngest learners. And also we are partnering with external partners to create a pathway pipeline so that we have people working with our youngest learners. And we have about 4 teacher residents in our TK programs. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Student Support and Health Services.
Good evening, President Rhodes, board members, Superintendent Allen. I'm Jacqueline Garner. I serve as the Executive Director of Student Support and Health Services. Really excited to share about the services that our department has been getting ready to prepare for our schools to be opened. As I begin, I really just want to highlight the composition of the department, which is actually 3 divisions. It includes health services that you're viewing, the staffing, as well as foster youth and student support, which I'll go over more as well. But really what I'm going to share with you is our current staffing, which is really representing our our staff who are on the school campuses, boots on the ground, ensuring that our students are having access to the physical health and mental health services to ensure that they're ready to learn and able to learn. So here you can see that the number of staff we have out, and then the few vacancies that we're still trying to fill. Really excited, and thanks to efforts and partnerships with Human Resources, but we actually onboarded 9 school nurses and health aides just last month to ensure that we had even more staff when we opened up schools on the first day. And then following along with that, we have our foster youth support staff who are out. This small but mighty group is out at all of our campuses, ensuring that every student who's in the foster care system has someone that is providing support and outreach to them. The main vacancy that we're really on there is with the other program in foster youth, which includes the tobacco use and prevention education program with the grant that's expanded. So we're working on filling those vacancies. And then lastly, we have our student support services, which also includes homeless services program and LGBTQ youth support program. And so again, this really highlights the number of staff that we have out at our school sites providing these very important services to our students to ensure they're ready to learn. And again, excited that just even in this past month, we were able to get 9 school social workers, 1 youth family mental health advocate onboarded and ready to be out at our campuses on the first day of school. So again, just really showing how we're ready and prepared to make sure we're meeting the needs of our students and our community. Thank you. And I'm handing it over.
Good evening, President Rhodes and Superintendent Allen and Board. It's great to be here, and it's great to be in the situation we are in regard to safety. This summer was a tremendous opportunity for us to engage on all levels according to our strategy. We had phenomenal training with our team down in Orange County at the Safe Schools Conference, as well as incorporating some of the important resources that we need. Uh-oh, was that the wrong one? Okay. So this summer, we increased our capacity. Like I said, bringing in the necessary resources in regard to staff. Melisha Navarro, she was already in place, but at the end of the year, we were down to 3 lead campus supervisors. So we're fully staffed with 5 safety officers and 10 lead campus supervisors. We also have a gang violence suppression specialist who I met with earlier this week, to talk about our strategy moving forward. The vehicles, the equipment, the light bars, the things that are necessary in crowd control, and, the presence that we need at our larger events is all in place. We are glad to say that we rolled out WeTip again. I know Member Pritchett was big on that earlier this year. And there's been some modifications to our website that make it easier for our students to be able to let us know ahead of time when there's conflict or issues that need to be addressed. We've incorporated 1 unit for weapons detection, and we actually utilize that at one of our football games, and we have 1 more session of training, but that resource is also will be allocated district-wide as part of a strategy for if and when there are concerns, and we want to incorporate that resource as a safety component. The training was important. Like I said, we went to the Safe Schools Conference. We learned a lot. We got back to the bigger conversations of safety, natural disasters, and some of those, emergency operations plans that we're working on to update. Really is I think, to make more current in what we're doing at this time from making those connections and getting some consultation from our state partners and our federal partners as well. We brought in the School Insurance Authority to kind of, it was an opportunity to bring in our principals and to start having a conversation about safety, to start opening our minds to what that needs to look like, and empower our staff, our administration to to start having those conversations all the way down to the schools, at the school site level. So School Insurance Authority came in, they did some legal update, they provided some training for conflict and de-escalation, and we also introduced the ALICE system, or the ALICE process for how to respond to active shooters on school sites. It's more, there are a few adjustments that bring us, I think, into a conversation with best practices to where, we've modified the fight to resist, and they were able to demonstrate that, what that looks like, which is more palatable, I think, for our younger students. Crisis Prevention Institute was one of the trainings we brought in, I think all the way toward the end of the last school year, all through the summer. We've had the opportunity to train more than 400 staff members district-wide, our administrators as well, as a kind of a foundation and a launching point for us to continue utilizing those best practices as well, and getting it down to the school site with our campus monitors who interact with our students every day. We talked about gangs, prevention and intervention, motivational interviewing, best practice for case management, and school to prison pipeline, all of which we opened up to our community partners to be part of those conversations at the Charles Jones Center, just because that's what we're baking into the Reimagining School Safety. So we train together, we learn together, and we have those conversations. All right.
Good evening. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services, Central Kitchen and Distribution Services. And what's going on here? Do I know how to? How come this isn't working? Oh, there we go. I wanted to share real quickly our mission for the Central Kitchen. We believe every student, regardless of income, deserves a freshly prepared meal while at school. Our Central Kitchen updates for this new school year, and right now in September, all the secondaries will be offered a local fed, grass-fed beef from Sunfed Ranch. This is a new vendor that we are supplying to our schools. Both middle and high schools will see this during the week of Farm to Fork. Additionally, right now this week, we have all the chefs from the Tower Bridge Dinner that are prepping for the Tower Bridge Dinner on Sunday. They've been using our Central Kitchen facilities. In addition, our chefs from the kitchen will be assisting with that Tower Bridge Dinner on Sunday as well. We're testing new items such as macaroni and cheese, egg bait smoothies, chili, marinara, and a variety of soups and ramen, all with kid-friendly taste profiles. And we're also, for the second year, bringing back the culinary pathway program from Cosumnes River College. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we have a class of students spending their lab hours in our Central Kitchen. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this thing. And the other update is our food truck update. Is there something about this I'm not getting? Is it the little toggle? There it is, food truck updates. Our food truck launched last school year, and we attended 8 middle schools for breakfast. And this year, we're expanding to more middle schools, and then we will be launching at high schools for lunch. Items that will be seen on the food truck this year will be the chicken rice bowls, Chipotle chicken burrito bowls, blueberry bread pudding for breakfast, and overnight oats and egg baits. Last year, we saw an increase of participation when the food truck arrived at schools, up to 250% for breakfast. So we're looking to see that again for lunch. And that is it.
Hello, Superintendent Allen. Let's see if I can make this work. There we go. Board President Rhodes and esteemed board members, my name is Jennifer Kretschmann, and I am the Director of Student Attendance and Engagement. I'm just going to start tonight by letting you all know that we were awarded our 3rd LCSSP grant. I know the last time we saw you, we were still waiting, and thanks to Diane Brown, who is our wonderful grant writer, We have 3 more years of funding. So we will be partnering with FACE for the first time, so that's Family and Community Engagement, for the next 3 years to increase student attendance, decrease chronic absence, and improve overall student, family, and community engagement. And this is Sandra Laird.
Good evening, Good evening, everyone. I think I'm a little nervous, but if little Naila could do it, I can do it too. So here I go. So I'm happy to report that the CARE team had a very successful and very busy summer. During the summer, starting when the pandemic hit, we started the Summer Connection home visits, where we reach out to students and families, most of whom were, actually all of whom are recently chronically absent. So we reach out to them to see why their students were chronically absent, to offer support, guidance, and to connect them with any services should they need it, such as homeless services, for example. And I'm happy to report that our team were able to conduct 140 home visits. We reached over 300 students. We made 480 outreach calls, signed 60 families up for the Infinite Campus Parent Portal, distributed 200 plus backpacks with school supplies, and we also went to the Riza apartment complex. That is the complex that is known where many students from Nicholas live. We did a pop-up there to let all the families know where the new location was going to be, to provide them with backpacks and information about the back-to-school night at the new location. We also had beginning of school events at, I'm going to mispronounce this because I'm nervous, CUU, MLK Jr., and we also volunteered at St. John's Shelter. Later on, we'll be presenting on the importance of Attendance Awareness Month, and as you can see by the banner behind you, in order to be academically successful, you need to attend today and to achieve tomorrow. And as part of our Attendance Awareness Month, we will be holding a community event at the end of this month at Ethel I. Baker. And we're looking forward to this coming school year, where we will have Kevin Bracey, the wonderful Kevin Bracey. He's a motivational speaker who's going to help us with a small group Tier 2 intervention program, where he will be working with 12 focus sites, meeting with 4th and 6th grade boys, Black and brown boys, and basically serving as a mentor. And in his motivational presentations, he talks about showing up despite circumstances that may be difficult for them. And he connects very well with youth, and we're really excited to have him. And thank you for allowing us to come up and talk to you. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I'm Brian Heap, the Chief Communications Officer, and I'm nervous too. So I promise we're almost done, by the way. I'm the last one. So I just wanted to let you know that your communications team is a small but mighty team, and in the weeks that led up to the start of school, we were busy putting together a bunch of different flyers and messaging and resources for the schools. You can see on the screen here, we put together some messaging, some of which was actually asked for by board members. I know, Member Pritchett, you had asked specifically for a flyer or a poster to go up for schools about sexual assault and resources that were available. We now have those at our school sites. Member Villa, you had asked for the bookmarks, which was a brilliant idea, by the way, and those are coming very soon, and we're pretty excited about those. Also, some messaging around our student handbook. We have a brand new one-pager on our LCAP that makes it very easy for families to understand. And all that work done by Sean Brainerd from our team, who does a fantastic job with all of our graphic design work. So want to give him a shout out. And that brings us to probably the most exciting thing that the comms team has done, certainly since I joined the district, and that is Parent Square. We know that a lot of our school sites had asked for a better messaging platform for families. Our Infinite Campus works very well as a student information system, but it is not a terrific form of platform for communicating with people. And so Parent Square is going to really fill a void for us in that regard. And one of the great things about Parent Square, if you haven't already noticed, our messages already have a much more visual appeal to them. We can incorporate a lot more graphics. We can incorporate some video, which is very helpful. Another great feature that it has, and one of the biggest reasons why we wanted it, is two-way communication, two-way messaging with families in the language of your choice. So in other words, if you speak Hmong, it will automatically translate to English for your site leader or vice versa. So it's an incredibly important thing for us in that regard. And want to also give a big shout out to our team, because in addition to all the work that we've done in preparation for Parent Square and getting that online, they have also been trying to redesign our website, which is desperately in need of that. It's difficult to find things on there. It's not as user-friendly as we want it to be, and we're working on that. So special shout out to our webmaster, Andrea Stares, our communications manager, Al Goldberg, and our community engagement manager, Nikki Kangas, because they have been really working hard on getting that stuff together. So thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for your presentations. Do we have any public comment on this topic?
There's none.
There's none. Seeing that there's none, board colleagues, if you would like to make a statement or ask questions, please hop in the queue. All right, we have Member Villa.
Okay, I don't really have any questions. I love seeing you all here. It's so nice when everybody's faces are all together. It's been a while. Let me go back to my notes. I apologize. I'm just going to make statements. I'm loving the summer construction. I've been driving by the schools. It's fabulous to see schools both demolished and all of the wonderful work. I drive past Hiram Johnson and just seeing the kids out there practicing football in that wonderful stadium. Wonderful to see. Let me go back to my other notes here. Summer 2024, very excited about that. We have to keep that moving. Enrollment. I had a question. Can you tell me, Javon, it's 39,153 as of August 31st. Do we know, that's up from the last couple of years, correct? Obviously, COVID is one thing. Yes, I don't recall, just because there's a lot of data all the time, what our numbers were last year at this time.
It's around 37.
37. Okay, so that's great. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Let me see here. All of this is just so good. This is all this really wonderful work. I'm really thankful for everybody. Love the safety component. We've been asking for a complete, comprehensive plan on safety. This is it. Nutrition services, amazing. I like seeing that at school sites. My daughter loves the smoothie and orange chicken, so keep that going. Communications. You know how much I love communications and making sure our families know everything. You guys have totally spun that around, and I'm very thankful. Parents are really going to the not necessarily going to the website, but going to their emails and getting the information. There's not that I don't know what's going on. Everybody knows now, and the social media, so thank you. It's really important. I love the 2 languages component. That's, again, something that people have been asking for. Those are my quick little feedback, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and we're going to go over to Member Pritchett.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the amazing work of getting the school started. It's I know it's not easy, and also just a huge shout out to our school sites, because the work just isn't here, it's also there, right? And so just I just want to say, thank you from us, and thank you for hearing us when we in implementing when we say, because when we say oh, these things would be great, it's because we hear it from our communities of these are the things that we think that should be implemented. So thank you for hearing that and implement it into these plans. Thank you, Ray, for bringing that WeTip hotline back and the sexual assault things for pamphlets. I do have a request, and that we work with our student board member and the student advisory council, and that we get maybe small ones that we can get to her and the student advisory council, and they can get out to our school sites. That way they have firsthand, they're at the school sites. They can get them to the kids. It's really hard for us to get them to, so maybe you can work directly to get them directly out to the students. Brave with the Alice shooter, good job on that one. I'm hoping that you guys are probably learning a lot on that one. I know that it's like evolving information on like what we're learning on that. I know I hear a lot about that at work as well. And I'm wondering if there's like plans in the future, and I don't know if we're already doing this, but like real life situations, or not, let me back that up, not real life, but like, but like a mock drill of like, what it would look like if we had active shooters on campus and, of things of that nature that we're doing on campus. Are we doing things of that nature? Yeah, go ahead.
So Alice, because when we approached them, we thought that it was with the big scenarios that, to go through. What we learned is that they have modified the stress inoculation part, and they have some different ways of processing and doing the training through more tabletop conversations because of what was, trying to mitigate the impact on students and whatnot. It's the way, but it is equally as thought-provoking as would be a scenario. And the goal is to train our own staff so that we can continue to modify as we move forward to incorporate, those best practices. When we went to them, though, we were thinking it was going to be this, what you're saying, because that's what a lot of the principals were talking about.
Right.
But when we contacted them, the things have been modified, so.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I wrote down, was like including our campus monitors, safety monitors, our staff, like including all of them so they know, like when you're reading something or watching it, instead of actually doing it, like
Right.
I'm more of like, I want to learn how to do it.
Right.
Rather than just watching someone else do it. So then when it happens, like I already know what to do,
Yeah,
right? So that's
absolutely.
kind of what I was thinking. And then just kind of back up on the We Tip, can we kind of just push out a bigger campaign of like pushing it out via social media with Brian and maybe asking our school sites to put it out on the marquee of like just pushing it out of, I think that would be smart. And we can work with our student board member on that one as well.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the hard work that you're all doing.
Thank you, Member Pritchett. Member Singh.
Thank you. I wrote a ton of notes, so might be long, but I have a couple of questions. But I wrote this out, so I'll look at my notes while I look up. So I do want to stress my gratitude to everyone who did all this work over the summer. I think it's really clear for us to be a truly strong district. We need to be responsive and aware of the real needs of our families who entrust their children in our public school system. So with rising costs and the burdens that this puts on our families with varying diversities of income, the before and after school programs are almost necessary, in my opinion, in order to not only help our children catch up with learning loss, but also support and alleviate the burdens on our parents and parent figures who work very hard to make ends meet. So I just do want to thank Manpreet and the entire team for the work that you've done to provide those services, because I do think in the public education system, for us to compete with the rising folks who want to go to, let's say, private schools and stuff, these are some of the things that those places offer and why folks tend to shift if they have the income to do so. So this really does give us an edge in making sure folks can continue to entrust us as a district, as a public school district, to provide services. I'm just going to make a quick shout out for the elementary sports program. So I just really like the fact that we're going to have young children, really young kids just playing sports. I'm not going to suggest anything to the facilities team, but I will say it would be really cool to put basketball courts in cafeterias in elementary schools, because that's a great place to place them. So just throwing that out there. I'm also happy about the 9 social workers added. So my question for the social worker piece is, what does a fully staffed social worker staff look like? I think some of the concerns have been that some sites only get 1 social worker per week. I know that we worked to get some sites that had 0. They finally got 1. But as we staff up, are we going to actually have the capacity to put multiple days of a social worker at every school site?
So what we're doing to provide equity, trying to provide a minimum of service to every campus, is that every campus will have there's a little bit of an exception, but for the most part, every campus gets at least 1 day of student support service support. And so that would be 1 day of a school social worker. Then using an equity index, we are basing it on need, and then there would be additional days of support. The exceptions are that we have our dependent charter schools. They have to buy their services. So if they don't purchase, or that's the right word, but if they don't allocate money for the student support, a social worker support, then they don't have it. So some of our charter schools have done that and some haven't, and the 3 that haven't aren't scheduled to get a social worker at that site. So we do have, right now we're at 69 out of all of our campuses that have social worker or student support on their sites. And then we're just waiting to get cleared 1 more social worker, then we'll be at 72. And then we're still trying to fill another vacancy. So, yeah.
Thank you.
That answers.
Yes. So moving on to my next question. So I do use the vacancy tracker. So I'm hoping that with our agreement that we're going to be putting a dent in this, in our agreement with our unions. But I also want to know if there's any particular plans to close a vacancy gap for our underrepresented and underserved areas. That tool actually does a great job to showcase how areas that are more affluent per se have the least amount of vacancies. And we all know that teacher shortages and having the most staffed schools is how you lead to student success. And that can also showcase why our underrepresented, underserved areas have the highest level of discrepancies for student success. So can someone talk to me about how we plan to specifically help get vacancies closed in those areas and neighborhoods?
Good afternoon. To start with the specifics, we this year launched, and we're going to talk about it, I think, a little bit later, a teacher residency program. We actually have 3. One that focuses on special education, and we have 2 teacher residents, one at C.K. McClatchy and Leah Tata Floyd. We also have a teacher residency program that specifically focuses on diversity, and we are partnering with Sac State in both of those residency programs. We have a pilot this year at Washington Elementary School where all of the teacher residents are BIPOC educators that are learning, and they are partnered with some of our last 2 Teacher of the Years. They are actually training our teachers, and so we're very excited about those teacher residency programs. We also have one, as Dr. Gibson spoke about, the transitional kindergarten. We realize that our classroom needs will expand, and so we have teacher resident programs helping us to get teachers in the classroom. Of course, we still offer our classified to certificated program, which has largely been a great tool to recruit teachers of color because they are our instructional aides. Some of our positions are not compensated great, and so we provide financial assistance to them to obtain their BA and their teacher credential. So we have but specifically like where we're going, so we have a partnership with Academic Network. I'll have to get back the specific thing, but we post every single day to there, and they specifically reach out to historically Black colleges and universities and Hispanic serving institutions. So our daily posts go to them directly each day, and so they are helping us with pipelines where we cannot physically be.
Thank you.
The other thing I'll just add to that, Member Singh, I'm over here. Hi. The other thing I'll just add to that is a focus on retention. So while we know that through creative programs and pipelines that Dr. Smith-Simmons described, it's good, it's helpful, but we have to, at some point, do a better job of retaining in certain areas. And so that's a focus as well. A few programs that'll be mentioned later.
Thank you. Still have questions. So my other question is around enrollment, and I'll close out my last question with safety questions. So enrollment-wise, going a bit deeper, thank you, Member Bill, for asking that question. What was our goal for the year? So for 39-something thousand, was there a goal that we set for how much we're trying to reach? And this might be a budget question, but what is our enrollment number that we're hoping or we're assuming our budget to be at? Because obviously our budget is correlated to enrollment. So when we make budget assumptions, are we meeting that enrollment number?
Maybe someone can help me with that. Anyone's budget?
It's Jesse here.
Jesse.
Okay.
Am I looking for Jesse?
Sorry about that.
I should have just said
I just
Jesse.
called him up. Jesse, please come.
He's got his laptop ready. He knows what's up.
Good evening, members of the board. Sorry, I don't have that number right off the top of my head. If you could give me just a moment to look it up. I don't know if you want to go on to the next question, then I can come back.
All right, perfect. I will jump to the next question. This is for you, Ray. So I've been focused on school to prison pipeline work in my day job for over a decade now. So I'm really glad that that training was covered, but I want to learn more about what steps that you could talk to us, maybe not right now, but in your future presentations, so that we can continue to take a lens towards restorative justice within the safety framework, so we can lower our expulsion rates and our suspension rates, and keep kids in the classroom, because the data says, and you know this, that the best way to keep kids off the streets, away from crime and falling into a life of poverty, is to make sure that they graduate. So I just want to learn more about your restorative justice ideas and kind of bring that into your next presentation when you get a chance to do so. I know there's not a question in there, but there is a question. The gang intervention person that you met with, they've started, and then do you have any specific ideas on how that person will work with students who have gotten into scuffles or fights and have thrown gang signs during their arguments? Is that how you envision them working with the students, or?
Well, we had a meeting because we have to modify that job description to kind of meet more of what we're doing. This person, Andrew Pham, has been in that position for more than 15 years. I met with him to incorporate, his effort in that position to do more of the case management, identifying our more volatile students, and in the same approach as our lead campus supervisors, finding a way to do wrap services and deal with what might be going on in that household. So we've gone away from truancy sweeps. And the way it's set up now is that through Sac Police Department or sheriff, if I get contacted about an issue at a home or maybe some trauma, that might impact a home based on violence or gang violence, that I get the address. And from the address, I'm able to see what students we have in there, separate from what the police concerns might be, and we figure out a way to support them, whether that's referrals to our student supportive services, or to, engage with the family to support them. Because we know if you have the third grader, probably a seventh grader, 10th grader, all in the same household, and, that's our focus. So, we're working on both ends. We want to make sure that we're utilizing that position in a way that's consistent with safety, number one, but intervention and prevention as well.
Thank you.
And a simple yes on the other question about the restorative mechanism, tying our work together is what the solution is, and we have great leaders in those positions, social emotional learning with Dan and Larry, and our student supportive services as well, and our hearing office. I know we're working to fill positions in there as well. So I think under the leadership of Ms. Wright, I think we're heading in that direction for sure.
Perfect. Thank you. And as we go ahead. Yes.
Excuse me, you brought up restorative justice and practice, and I wanted to add an element from the curriculum and instruction side of the house. So the work that we're doing, Danny Roletti, Director of Professional Learning for Culture, Climate, and SEL. And part of the work that comes out of my department and my team of training specialists is that anti-bias, anti-racist, trauma-informed lens. And in my experience as a site leader, restorative justice is a fundamental tier 1 thing that needs to happen in the classroom. As a preventative measure, it should be like just part of the glue that happens every day. So community circles, the social discipline window of doing things with kids, not to kids. And so that should be just fundamentally part of every single kid's experience the moment they step onto campus. And so hearing what Ray said and knowing what Ray deals with on the safety side, we are trying to keep kids in the classroom away from the suspension, expulsion, school to prison pipeline by implementing restorative justice PL practices under that anti-bias, anti-racist, trauma-informed lens. So just wanted to add that piece as well, so that way it's not just viewed as the back end, it's also on the front end as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening again. For 23-24 budget, we were projecting 36,506 students for enrollment. So we are trending slightly higher than that, so that's great news.
That is good information.
You should also ask the question how that budget and what it looks like now. And what was the in-between? Why don't you ask that question? I thought you could ask it.
Okay, my last comment, I'll close out, is I just want to thank Nutrition Services. I did, over the summer, see the impact and shared out as much as I could to get folks over to those services. I just want to also acknowledge the fact that homelessness continues to be the biggest topic in our region. So although we're not going to solve homelessness in this room tonight, we do have a role to play, and that means that our kids don't go hungry. So if we can nourish their stomachs, then we can nourish their brains. So thank you so much. Sorry for all the questions.
No, questions is what we're here for. We're going over to Member Segura.
Okay, I don't have a question. I just wanted to let y'all know from a student perspective, we really appreciate all of the work that you've been putting in and the improvements that you've made to the districts and the efforts that you've put in. It doesn't go unnoticed by us. We see it every day, every year when we come back, when we're noticing these changes and how our campuses are improving and how all of these new additions are being added and how the nutrition has been just skyrocketing year after year. We see it and we appreciate you endlessly. We talk about it amongst ourselves. I know that from the separation, it can be a little bit daunting. It can be like, do they see what's happening? We do every day. We could not be more appreciative of the work that you guys are doing. So thank you for that.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for your presentation. And then we're gonna. My colleagues love to do this to me. Member Phillips.
Sorry. Just a couple things. Regarding recruitment, I'm really interested in hearing about the classified staff reach out and those groups that we're working with. Because not only were the names really bomb, I was like, I really want to see us pushing toward getting, our classified staff in. So just a couple little things. Weapons detection, that unit, is that a don't even get up. Is that a mobile unit?
Yes, it's portable, so that we can use it according to strategy, proms, if there's any threats or anything.
Okay.
Would you come because nobody at home can hear you?
Sorry, I was thinking of myself.
So yeah, could you repeat that for the people who are this being
Sorry,
recorded
Ray.
for?
Working overtime.
Thank you,
over
boss.
here. Yes, it's a portable unit so that we can use it according to a strategy. It's not something we're just going to hang in place and just to be, we don't want, it's going to, according to a plan, there are certain staff that will be responsible for that. And based on when, where, what, if there are any threats or if it's like a prom off site or something where, it makes sense to use it, then we will incorporate that.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's it?
Okay, and my last question, I'm not sure who this is for, but specific to mandated reporter training, I know we have like a 4-hour course online that folks participate in, but I'm curious if the district is, considering maybe augmenting it or updating the way we respond to making the decision as to whether to report a suspicion of child abuse or neglect. I don't know who can answer that, and y'all don't have to answer it this evening, but I really would like to see us as a district making sure that there's an informed decision as to making that call. And if there's any augmentation to our current practices of the 4-hour training. Because I've done the training. You know what I mean? Make a report, or you're going to go to jail, or you're going to get a fine. But there's no critical thinking skills. There's nothing involved at all in making that decision. And, it's not because I'm overwhelmed at work, but I just want to make sure that, we're looking at the right and proper reasons to make that referral. So that'll just take whoever's time. I am done, President Rhodes.
Thank you, board member.
Oh, sorry, you're over there.
Yes, sorry, I can get up if it's easier, but just wanted to quickly answer, and we can provide more information later, but specifically around not only mandated reporting, like the CANRA training, which is through our insurance, school insurance authority, some courses that we have to do. We're also looking at the behaviors that lead to it, so we can get to a preventative stance in order to recognize before, as well as what do you do if you suspect, of course. And we started that rollout this summer with our administrators, and we'll be doing that, looking to do that district-wide.
Okay, amazing. Now we're going on to item 9.2, Council of Great City Schools Review. Don't all leave at once. You just left.
Thank you. Good evening, President Rhodes, board members, Interim Superintendent Allen. I'm Concy McCarn, your Chief Human Resource Officer, and presenting with me will be Mr. Willie Burrows from the Council of the Great City Schools, as well as our HR team, your HR team. So these staff members, I can't wait to tell you the great things that they're doing while we acknowledge where we have work to do. So this is what that is for. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about, not a little bit, you saw the length of time of the presentation. We're going to talk about the goals, objectives, the rationale for the audit, thank you so much, the actual report and what the council and their team went through, recommendations, what's happened since then, and how we move forward on our journey of continuous improvement. So there are acronyms. There are a lot of acronyms, but look, we put them on the slide, and we will try to, as we go through, make sure to say them and point them out. So we generally start in these presentations in sharing and reminding everyone of our core value, and we recognize that as a system, we have room to grow. We have things we have to start doing and stop doing and address as a system. So while any one department has things they might work on, we want to recognize that as part of systemness as we look at that in order to improve our experiences for our students, which ultimately is why we're all here. So in HR, we've worked together and have had a number of conversations and work to create our vision statement, which has been in place and tweaked as we've gone through together. You can see that together we'll make a positive difference in the lives of our students, employees, and community. Our investment in our employees' personal and professional advancement is reflected in the academic growth and social and emotional well-being of our students. We recognize that each day is a new opportunity to be better than the day before. And that's really where we're coming from with the audit, with what it showed, which we are ready to listen to and hear, as well as identify a way to move forward. So a little bit about the HR department, which is one of the most diverse departments in the district. You can see in terms of ethnicity, in terms of our language spoken, and they're still standing. I just noticed that. That's great. No, that's great. Just lots of wonderfulness.
So in HR covers so many things, but it doesn't cover some other things that you think it might, and it often gets confused. But when we talk about it in the lens of this review from the Council of Great City Schools, we wanted to be clear, what is it that's within the realm of HR in this district? And what is it that we work really closely with our partners in payroll and budget and risk management and benefits that aren't HR, but clearly very closely related. So we and actually did this work through our advisory council, our advisory group, to highlight what areas we're really focusing on. So we're here because of feedback from labor partners about the low levels of satisfaction and service from the HR department and how that impacts and works at our school sites. So we wanted to look at the department structure. We wanted to look at things within the department, how the department fits within a system, processes, practices, everything. So we asked for help. We asked for help so that we can get to a place where, to improve student experiences, we can attract, retain high-quality, diverse workforce that have and feel these things. And we know we're not there, but we know we need help. So with the council's work and the recommendations, we made a commitment before it began that whatever that was, we were going to take those recommendations. We're going to work to create a strategic plan to implement those recommendations so that we can get to a better place of improved learning experiences for our kids. Not to steal your thunder, but there are 17 specific recommendations that the council made, and that's a lot. So we have a lot to do, but you will be able to see how some of them are department focused, but also district and system focused. And we are committed to taking a hard look at those, to continuing to review them, and to come up with a roadmap for improvement. We also wanted to take a moment to highlight that this is the latest of reviews. You can see 5 others listed up here as well that the district has done over the past number of years that in some way highlight a need for a system-wide approach. A system-wide approach to fix the gaps. It can't be in a silo. It can't be within any one department. And so we are committed to looking at that from a department lens, but also a system-wide lens. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Burrows.
All right, so I get the clicker.
You get the clicker.
Good evening, Board President Rhodes, Interim Superintendent Allen, board members. My name is Willie Burrows. I'm the Director of Management Services with the Council of the Great City Schools. So first of all, I'd like to thank you as the district as well as the department for inviting us to come in and to do a review. You are one of 78 member districts that are part of the Council of the Great City Schools. It's made up of large urban school districts around the nation. And while we were here, I want to thank the team that came along. The review teams are made up of either individuals that are currently in the role, senior HR roles, or retired from that role. So I'd like to call them by name to acknowledge them. Ray Hart, who is the Executive Director for the Council of the Great City Schools. He sends his regards. He was unable to be here with me on tonight, but he does send his regards. Again, he leads all areas of the Council of the Great City Schools. David Palmer, who was the principal investigator. He's retired from LA Unified School District. Gifty Beats, Assistant Chief HR, also from LA Unified. Paul Isvog, Chief Human Resources and Labor from Fresno Unified. Debbie Agnani, Deputy Chief HR Officer for Los Angeles Unified, retired. So the report, as Kansi indicated, we will, let me slip to this slide here. I believe you have a copy of the full report, and we've probably broke every rule there is on, in terms of a presentation for the slides that we have on here. We have lots of words that are on there, but this could be seen as maybe a mini report that I'll present to you on tonight. So it's broken up into some key areas. So the first area is around accommodations. Those are things that we saw as bright spots, things that you were doing well, and then it falls into other key areas, those key areas being key findings around leadership and management. Those are areas where the team identified some areas where some improvement is needed. Also in organization. And then finally, in recommendations. So it's like going to the doctor. It's great that you went, you got the physical, you got the blood work, now you got the results. Now what? And so that's where the recommendations come into play. And I'll go ahead and jump in. So background in terms of commendations, the request, first of all, for someone that requests you to come into their house to pull back the covers and kind of peek behind the curtain and see exactly what's there. Commendable from the team, and it shows a commitment that there is around talent acquisition, development, and retention of human capital are critical factors in the role of the Human Resources Services Department. Also, in fact, in terms of requested information, the team was very organized in getting us information. In fact, from reviews after this one, I used that process that they put together to actually leverage it across other reviews that we did to collect information. Also, the department created an interdepartmental team, IDT, for meetings to address some of the internal communications. One of the things that we heard during the review was that classified employees new to their positions appeared to at least be consistently evaluated during their probationary period, which is best practice. Staff members interviewed demonstrated the resilience and a commitment to continuous improvement, and they're still standing there. So they're very much committed to the work here in Sacramento City. For the district, and for all members of the Council of the Great City Schools, there's a report that's generated on an annual basis called Managing for Results, and it measures across the enterprise, all different areas on academic, operational. And so the Human Resources Department measured in the best quartile for many of those rankings. Also, you offer a competitive substitute rate of pay compared to your nearby districts. We also saw that the district provides a $1,500 early notification, retirement, or resignation incentive for teachers. And this really allows for you to be able to plan for your upcoming year. Also, position descriptions and salary schedules are easily accessible, both to applicants as well as to current district staff. So now we'll jump into some of the findings. And again, this is just a highlight or a summary of the findings. Again, you have the detailed report that goes into more detail. But in the leadership and management, currently the department functions very much as transactionally. Doesn't have time to really focus on customer service, organizational development, or process improvement, and capacity building. It lacked formal internal training programs. And some of the things we saw was that often there could be an individual that primarily was responsible for a function. If that person was out, then things just kind of didn't move. And so those are some key findings around the leadership and management. There are some additional ones here. Many HR staff have been in the department in their current position for less than a year. Just through some of the turnover, to have a lot of new staff at the time of the review. HR staff didn't consistently provide clear and timely communication to school leaders, including the time it takes to receive a list of candidates. Once a job posting closes out. And so it was reported that it could take weeks for a campus principal or administrator to receive a list of possible candidates. School administrators shared they lacked training on HR policies and practices that impacted the operations, that there was no written guide or handbook to help principals resolve HR-related issues. Okay, excuse me. The district's lengthy onboarding process put hiring departments and schools at a disadvantage. As you might imagine, early, the one that's able to get out in front of the recruiting and being able to bring folks on board quickly are going to win the war on talent. And so we were told that quite often there were top-tier candidates that were lost to potentially neighboring districts because of the long onboarding period. There's a lack of a comprehensive recruitment plan, annual calendar, appropriate budget, retention strategies, or online tracking system. Thank you. I got one over there. Thank you. Labor-intensive manual data entry. A lot of things were still paper-based. You might imagine that takes quite a bit and also creates opportunity for errors. This final step of the onboarding process, getting staff and teachers first-day access to needed systems such as email or student attendance fell short for newly hired employees. Staff shared that some collective bargaining agreement language contributes to slowing the hiring process. Some language delays the timely recruiting, selecting, and onboarding of new teachers to the district. So in terms of the organizational findings, the hierarchical placement of human resources services department within the district organization was undervalued and misaligned to current best practices. That meaning that it wasn't a direct report to the superintendent. The current HR department organizational structure and functionalities did not support the strategic alignment and service delivery throughout the employee life cycle. Specifically, HR was not organized around the critical functions of onboarding, so that would include recruitment, vetting, selection and placement, as well as employee services, which includes performance assessment, employee verification, leaves, transfers, and so on, as well as the exit transition, which includes retirements, resignations, non-renewals, exit interviews, and exit trending. Employee relations function was moved from the HR team, and position descriptions were not consistently reviewed and updated. So additional key findings under organization, a full functioning control system to connect finance, budget, payroll, and human resources did not exist at the time of our visit. The team could not identify a functional position control system that integrated human resources department, budget, payroll, and finance. And lastly, the HR and finance were not utilizing position control, automated approval process module, or existing budget development staffing modules. And let me back up for 1 second because I want to make sure that, the bullet before that when it talks about not utilizing and there wasn't the tie between those departments. As a result of that, we were told that there were times when, positions got posted that had not been approved by budget. Effective teacher substitute management has challenged due to extremely high teacher absenteeism. And we highlighted this next bullet to point out that on average, there were 16 days that a teacher missed, which is double the median for the metric for Council of Great City Schools members. There's a high volume of manual data entry from one standardized system into another standalone system to another standalone system, and multiple standalone HR systems just in general created the need to develop workarounds. So that captures the findings. So it's kind of like, now what? So there are a number of recommendations. And in here, in the presentation, these recommendations are not going to tie directly to the report. They're all captured within the report, but number one may not be number one in the report. There were some things that were felt that needed to be pulled out that were maybe captured in some of the sub-bullets. So they're all in there in the recommendations, but again, they may not be, you may not be able to follow them numerically here. So the first recommendation is to realign the Human Resources Department as a direct report to the superintendent. to reflect the role as an enterprise-wide function. And we would say this for any other enterprise-wide function because HR touches everything across the entire district. Also to convene with a sense of urgency, ongoing meetings to analyze the findings and recommendations identified in this management letter, as well as, and I think it was identified there was 5 other types of reports. So really pulling together a combination of those to really develop an overall plan, which ties into develop a realistic 5-year HR strategic plan that's laser focused on the customer needs. Transition to a data-driven organization that relies upon fact-based and analysis-centric justifications for decisions, including the use of benchmarks, techniques, and key performance indicators, such as turnover rates, absentee rates, substitute fill rates, vacancy rates, time to fill vacancies, recruitment rates, as well as retention rates. Recognize the Office of Human Resources to optimize efficiency and effectiveness, sharpen its focus, improve internal communications, eliminate silos. Council was talking about that earlier in terms of not just HR, but how does HR work with finance and operations all across the organization, and promote clear lines of responsibility and authority and accountability to focus on key areas of HR. And again, these are outlined here, talent acquisition and staffing or onboarding, employee effectiveness and services, so current employee services, as well as leadership and employee development pipelines, staff development and exit transition. And also develop a realistic recruitment and marketing budget. So identifying what are going to be the efforts for the coming year, how do you properly resource that for travel, and whatever other pieces that are part of the overall plan. Also identify previous or anticipated bottlenecks or choke points in the recruitment and onboarding process and proactively take corrective action before annual recruitment efforts. Convene a team of appropriate stakeholders, including HR, budget, payroll, and finance, to clarify and document the district's position control process. This documentation should include flowcharts and who owns each step of the process, as well as strengthen stakeholder communication activities to enhance HR services by employing meaningful communications and outreach with regular meetings with school principals or representative group of principals, staff from the Office of the Instructional Assistant Superintendent, and others to identify opportunities to improve communications and address challenges described in this document. Monitor turnover rates and establish exit interview protocols for department employees who voluntarily separate from, we need to correct that, from Sacramento City Unified School District, and identify and track the causes for leaving to identify opportunities to make or recommend changes in policy. Research and evaluate the opportunity to fill positions with highly qualified candidates as expeditiously as possible and not lose top-tier candidates to other districts. And then lastly, evaluate the benefit and operational case justification for returning employee relations to the Human Resources Department, and consider having HR as an expert resource during labor negotiations. And so that's the last slide for me, and Council, if you want to come back.
Thank you, and we'll keep going. Thank you for sharing those recommendations, findings and recommendations, and I'll say that as we went through this, obviously that's hard to hear that about such explicitly some of the gaps, but I think we needed to hear it while we knew on some level and had been working on things. I think this is what we needed to be able to move forward. So steps that we have taken since the review that end up aligning with it, and again, now that we have the final review, we will be engaging to create, as recommended, that strategic plan so that we can show how we are making progress on each of those areas. So some things that have happened over the last year with regards to recruitment and retention enhancements. Dr. Tiffany Smith-Simmons talked about some of these. Just the fact that student teachers, previously we have about 100 student teachers in the district on any given year, and less than 15, 20, the most of those were staying in the district. Like, what a valuable resource and opportunity, and we were just not capitalizing on it. We have done some outreach and improved efforts to be able to increase that number, as you heard earlier. We have been trying to target very specifically how do we look for in our communities, find, build pipelines, work with partners to increase our BIPOC educators. That includes classified, certificated, and management through like our Sacramento City Unified Leadership Program. Now, retention is part of that too. And these are, while we're doing trainings and gatherings, trying to create spaces, these things that I'm sharing are things that we did, and now we have the report, and now we are going to do even more and more specifically. It is to show, though, that we just weren't sitting and waiting, right? We were trying to improve and work in very specific areas. Building our teams, the additional staff members, many of which were ESSER funded, that we absolutely utilize, need to be able to continue to grow. We have been focusing internally in these ways to improve timelines, to really get to the why, but also to be able to create the cross-training internally. They're baby steps towards those bigger steps of recommendations that were outlined previously. We shared that the vacancy dashboard, which right now is certificated. Eventually we'll build that out for classified, and we'll build that out for management. This is just where we started through the work of the HR advisory group, is a way of doing that, trying to show, that's obviously not where we want to be when you see the numbers on those dashboard, but having the tool is the celebration part, so that we can show what is out there as we work to improve and use that data. How are we using it to know where we need to focus our efforts? The list of items there are just automations that have happened in using Informed K-12 and others as a start, as a beginning to work smarter, not harder. I've mentioned the HR advisory group a couple of times. We started that in March of this year, so I've had 6 months of it. We meet monthly, and participants include, as you can see, department leaders, labor partners, community representatives, cabinet members, and HR staff, not all coming every single time, but all coming at some point. And we send the information out in PowerPoint so people still have an opportunity to see. The creation of the dashboard really was fine-tuned to this point, and version, 20, based on the feedback from that group, a really important group, and we're going to continue to keep those going. They've asked good questions of us around those areas listed, so that we have had to be in a space to come forward and present. This is where we're at, this is where we want to go, and they push us all along the way, in a good way. In addition to trying to create feedback loops, right, from everything like now in our signatures, there's a little link to provide your feedback on the service that you got or the timely response. And we look at that at a regular basis to say, do we notice any patterns? We're not, servicing this, so we're low in that way. And then we also engaged with R.T. Fisher Educational Enterprises for an initial exploratory conversation, because what we realized is we need help helping ourselves. And so the creation of a strategic 5-year plan, even though we are doing things to move along, we realize it has to connect. And because of the systemness approach and realization of the need to de-silo and connect in that way, we need help. So the R.T. Fisher Education Enterprises, which is the same group that worked with our Black African American Advisory Group, is one that has been really responsive and interested in helping us not look at it in the standard way. We are focusing on diversifying. We are focusing on areas that aren't like we have traditionally thought of. So just to show that work in that area. In addition, once we got the report, we shared it with the board, we shared it, right? We shared it with cabinet. With cabinet, the HR department, IDT, that interdepartmental team, and the HR advisory group, we also created feedback. We said, hey, here's what it says. And because we're looking at it as system-wise approach, what do you think? How does this connect? Where could we go? To just, again, gather feedback. All of that we hope to use as we create our more strategic plan with the help of others. So ultimately, we want to use the recommendations, which were hard to hear but important to hear, to do these things, right? Increase our customer service up and down the district, up and down, sideways, everywhere, to shift our implementation on just manual to using technology, to use data more specifically and strategically to drive next steps, and to align our work with best practices. And right now, we have absolutely hardworking staff, and we want to show that we want to continue in this way. And to that end, we are committed to coming back to you to say, hey, here's the progress we've made on the report, given the 17 recommendations. And it's really more than 17, right? Some of them have like A, B, C, D, E. Where are we in all of that? Engaging our HR advisory group and anyone else who wants to participate so that we can build something sustainable, a process, a system that is across departments. So that is the end, and we're ready for questions, but I do just want to, they stood the whole time, I do just want to acknowledge the team that is here, that didn't have to be, that we went through our own journey of it's hard to hear, it's important to hear. How are we processing that? What does that mean for us in our work? How does that connect? And what do we do? And so the individuals that you see and the faces that you see here went through that as a team, which I think in the end will only make it easier for us to create something that's sustainable, that's integrated, and that is really truly going to make a difference. So I would just call out just everybody. I know that's not the staffing team, if you're part of the staffing team. So analysts, PT1s, right? Like these are the ones who are doing those referrals. Those are the ones who are offering jobs. Yeah, okay, that strategy is not going to work. I just thought we had 10 minutes. So, okay, that's fine. Everybody here does an important part. And the reason that they're here is to show, like, this isn't great stuff. Like, we're not proud of all of our findings, but we see them. We have looked at them, we have dissected them, and we're ready to engage around them.
Thank you so much. Before we get to my colleagues' questions, do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
Okay. We're going first, Member Jean, actually.
First off, you've been standing for 30 minutes, so props to that. Second, I'm really excited because one of the loudest things that seems to come through in conversations I have in the community and emails that I get comes through all of this, right? The miscommunications, misunderstandings, delays, all of these things. And being a teacher in the educational system and knowing that I am doing my best and the system sometimes is getting in the way of me feeling like I am successful and doing what I'm intending to do is one of the most frustrating parts of the gig. And I could only imagine that as I'm new on the board and figuring out, okay, I'm hearing these things, but I know we've got amazing, hardworking people who are showing up every day despite everything else, that you're probably as frustrated with that system as everyone else that's talking to me. So I want to say thank you for being here and thank you for standing and thank you for the courage to look in, like, all the blemishes. This is what we're doing well, and we all already know what we need to improve, but now we've got a roadmap and clarity and we can call it out. And I'm hoping that you feel incredibly validated by the report because it's already showing all the things you want to do and you're working so hard to do, that we're just somehow not getting there yet. And now I'm excited because we can get there together. And I can't wait to partner with all of you and here on the dais, to make sure that we are serving our community, both in the educators that are a part of our system and the families that that benefit but are invested in the communities and the systems for our students. So I don't have any questions. I'm just really excited to get to work with all of you.
Well said, Member Jean. We're going to go to Member Singh.
Thank you. I'm going to make it quick too. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. That was a lot. Thank you for standing. If I stop talking, you don't have to stand as long too. So I just want to say that I appreciate that you've already started to implement the findings and working on those findings and try to create those changes. And we do kind of have to just trust the fact that there is a process here. There's findings, there is a process for you to work with your team. And I just want to mention that I've seen, there's folks that I just met for the first time a few weeks ago at Theodore Judah, for example. I've seen staff putting in the work. And I think engaging with community and families directly is leading to folks feeling like, okay, you're listening, you're hearing us, and hopefully that also showcases in the HR space where people who are looking for positions and jobs can look at our district now and be like, these are folks that we can talk to, we can engage with, and it's shining a positive light on our district. And hopefully that's another retention tool and recruitment tool that when you see positive engagement and just positive news about the district, that's also a helping point. It's not easy to get past that. So I recognize that. I just want to thank you guys for your work.
Thank you, Member Singh. Member Villa.
I'm going to probably say a few other things that they've also said. Like you said, it's hard to hear when you have a deficit or negatives in your department, in your team, when you guys know that you show up every day and you work so hard and you have hurdles. We've heard the hurdles. We know that there have been so many struggles, but you're still here. You're still committed to the district. You're still committed to our staff, our students, and that means a lot to this board. We need you. You guys are the hub. HR is the hub. We need you to stay, data-driven. That just kept standing out to me. We've talked about that on this board so many times. Without having the data, how do we actually make change? Well, now we have it. We have the roadmap in place. You guys know that you're a part of this big change that's going to be the necessary steps that are going to change our district. So I hope you have some sense of pride that you were on this grassroots effort of really making our district stronger and better. So I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing more reports.
Thank you, Member Villa. Member Pritchett.
Thank you. First, I wanted to, before I get to staff, I first want to thank the Council of Great City Schools for once again coming in and evaluating our district. I know you've done great things with our special ed, evaluating our special ed department, and now with our HR, and it's greatly appreciated. And to our staff, we know how hard you all work. We come in on the weekends, we see you, we want you to know that. I know how hard it is to hear these type of things. We have jobs. I know when I'm at work and someone comes in and says, look, these things need to be changed, I know how heartbreak is. Like, you get in that little silo and you're like, really, am I not doing a good enough job? We want you to know you are doing amazing work. But as Member Villa put it, like, this is just creating a roadmap to be able to do a greater job, right? And for you all to create that roadmap together, right? And so I just want you to know that we appreciate the work that you're doing. So that was pretty much all I just wanted to say. We know how hard you work, okay?
Beautiful. Thank you, Member Pritchett. Do we have any other board members who would like to say something? Okay. Member Phillips.
Just a short statement. I appreciate the hard work you guys have done, but just to state, because I'm always talking to my colleagues, not only does the board need you all, but you all need us, but not in the way that people would believe. We are looking at a group of people who have exemplified cooperation collaboration, some serious hard work, introspection, looking at what needs to change. And I want us to recognize that when we present changes that we made as a board unit, that we represent these folks who've stood for way too long in the work that they've done, in the same work that we're doing with great city schools as well. So we're working with these folks also. We got things to do, recognizing that not everything's perfect, but that recognition is what's going to make things change. You guys are ready, and I am ready to see this. So I'm also ready to see that in my colleagues too. So just to recognize, this is not a job, this is a commitment. And this is a love for what they do. And I need us to also recognize that's what this represents, and something that we will also look forward to representing in ourselves as a governing board.
Okay, any other board members before we continue? All right, so Conti, thank you so much for presenting today. Thank you everybody who's here. I talked to the brother outside earlier, and this is an amazing opportunity to move from the problems we have to the possibilities, and it's amazing to move that work. We are all here, and we know that change is possible, but we're all part of that change, that as Member Phillips alluded to. So thank you so much, and we're going to go to the next item.
Thank you.
Hey, item, where am I at? 9.3. Mrs. Crutchman is back. What's going on, man? How are you doing, boss?
Good evening, Superintendent Allen, President Rhodes, and esteemed board members. I'm O'Neill Sanchez on behalf of the Attendance and Engagement Department, along with my colleagues Carla Cortez and Monica Lopez Larios. We're here for the resolution number 3341, which is the Attendance Awareness Month for September of 2023. I believe you have one slide. Yep. So just real quick, since the inception of our department 5 years ago, our goal has always been to reduce chronic absence by improving student engagement to essentially increase academic achievement. And therefore, with us only being a week into the start of school, right now is the perfect time for us to hit it hard with promoting, attendance. And with September being National Attendance Awareness Month, then what better way to making it also a resolution within our district. So right here, you can see real quick, for the first 4 days of school since we started, our attendance rate has been almost to our goal, which is of strive for 95% attendance rate. You can also see the top 4 schools, such as our high school, elementary, K through 8, and middle school, with the highest attendance rate so far. We also created an Attendance Awareness Month toolkit, so that way these schools and all of our schools within our district can implement strategies to engage students to come to school. So what we've done is we've done the work for them just to implement it at their site. Another thing that we're also doing is to wrap it all up at the end of the month is our Attendance Awareness Month community fair that we'll be having at Ethel Baker Elementary, which we would like to have all of you come by and join us. We'll be having activities, free food via food trucks, while supplies last. I have to throw that in there. Just guest speakers and performances just to tie in the importance of coming to school. So with that being said, I'll get started with the resolution. Resolution number 3341, Attendance Awareness Month for September 2023. Whereas the nation is experiencing a school absenteeism crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic and other challenges that have eroded positive conditions for learning at school, including physical and emotional health and safety, a sense of belonging, connection, and support, academic challenges and engagement, and adults and peers with social emotional competency, which motivates students and families to show up and engage. And whereas reducing chronic absence, which is missing 10% or more of school for any reason, requires taking a comprehensive trauma-informed approach that starts with prevention and early intervention, including developing routines and trusting relationships that create a sense of belonging rather than responding with punitive action, which research finds it is not particularly effective. And whereas improving attendance and engagement takes schools, families, elected leaders, and other community partners working together to rebuild regular and trusting communications and to identify and address barriers to being in school. And whereas taking attendance daily in a caring, consistent manner is essential to identifying when students begin to miss too much school and for engaging students and families as early as possible with needed supports and resources. Ann?
Hi, I'm Carla Cortez. He introduced me a little bit earlier, but I'll be finishing off the resolution. Now therefore, be it resolved that Sacramento City Unified School District stands with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to focusing on reducing absenteeism and addressing the factors that cause students to miss school in order to ensure all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. We recognize that we must work together to build an engaging school environment that motivates attendance and sends the message that learning can and must continue. Specifically, we will, number one, engage students, parents, and families, and the community in promoting good school attendance, and number two, put students first in all we do. We will also share and monitor chronic absence data, recognize and appreciate good and improved attendance, forge partnerships to ensure easy access to physical and mental health services. We will also work with families, schools, and community members to identify barriers to attending regularly and co-create solutions. Lastly, we will advocate for stronger policies and public investment. Thank you.
Right on time. Do we have any public comment on this topic?
There is none.
Okay. All right. Seeing that there's none, do we have any of my colleagues comment or discussion? So that's perfect. Do we move second? Okay. Let's do a roll call vote on. Okay. Superintendent.
Very quickly, I believe this, O'Neill, is your last board meeting?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
We absolutely want to thank you for everything that you've done for our students and our families and our communities. You have made a great impact on this district, and I just appreciate you, and you will be missed. Ready?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Member Jean?
Oh, it's student preferential.
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye. I'm voting yes.
They missed
Yes.
Oh, she's in parliamentary mode. She wants to do the motion.
So there was already a motion. There was already a motion, and there's already a second, and then there's student preferential as well.
Restart.
Okay. Aye.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Member Phillips?
Aye.
Member Pritchett? Aye. Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with all members.
Thank you so much for everything that you've done for our district. I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Okay, now we're moving into item 10.1. First, we're going to have a public hearing, and then we'll move into action.
All right. Good evening again. This is the AB 1200 public disclosure and approval of the agreement between SCUSD and Sacramento City Teachers Association. So we'll start off with outlining some of the key provisions of the agreement. It does close negotiations for the 22-23 school year, as well as for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, except for the reopeners listed in that paragraph below. So the compensation items included within the agreement include a 10% salary schedule increase retroactive to July 1st, 2022 for all SCTA job classes, an additional 6% salary schedule increase for specified special education job classifications, which is also retroactive to July 1st, 2022. And lastly, an increase in the long-term substitute rate to $355 per day, beginning on the second day of assignment. And that is also retroactive to July 1st, 2022. Moving on to the fiscal impact. This shows the fiscal impact by each of the fiscal years. Just one note on this. On the next slide, I'll have a snapshot of the multi-year projections. But what it'll reflect is that the cost for 2022-23 is also included with the cost in the 23-24 year because we are in the process of closing the books for 2022-23, so those won't be recognized in those years. But we did want to share that cost in purposes of this presentation. At the below, in the last bullet, we also did include budget revisions within the AB 1200 of shifting the one-time funds of $18 million approximately in textbook adoption and professional development costs. These shifts occurred in 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25 between unrestricted resources to restricted resources. This is a snapshot of our multi-year projections with the estimated costs of each of the line items. You can see how those flow through each of the years. This is our combined multi-year projections and the corresponding net increases net decreases and ending fund balance in each of those 3 years. We do still project meeting the 2% reserve for economic uncertainty by that third year out. And with that, opening up to any Q&A.
Thank you so much. Do we have any public comment on the topic?
We do not.
We do not. Do we have comments or discussion from my colleagues? Okay. Do we have a motion? Motion to move, second. All right. Student preferential?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Phillips.
Aye.
Member Pritchett. Aye. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, going into the next item. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. 10.2. Wait a second. Regine, did you put it in afterwards? After the board comments and things like that? That was accident? Okay.
No, I didn't get it in vote by.
Oh, okay. We will allow you to say one thing. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. We were sidebarring and I got distracted and the vote happened so fast. I just really want to put it on record, the substantial shift that we're feeling in the district kind of from all ends. And I just want to, it's amazing. I think we were chatting today that when you look at the work that was done in August to come to this agreement on all parts with our labor partners and those stepping up to make those meetings happen with our staff, our district office, the board conversations. It's really exciting. As President Milevsky mentioned, it's the first time in how long that we could come to an agreement in a positive, productive manner without the threat of the negativity. And I've been hearing comments throughout the community, just the community's feeling it too. It's a shift and it's exciting. And I'm just continually more and more excited about the work we get to continue doing here. So I felt like that needed to be said, and I apologize it wasn't before the vote.
No, we made room for that. This is a momentous occasion and a paradigm shift for our entire city. So thank you. Moving over to item 10.2, SELPA local plan. Mr. Lunards. It's on.
Okay, cool.
You're good.
So, this. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. All right, with the SELPA local plan. So, a bit of background. So what I will do is kind of get us going here. So this presentation has a few acronyms here, SELPA, which is the Special Education Local Plan Area, CDE, obviously, LEA, which is us as a district, a local educational agency, and then CalPADS, which is our state submission data system that kind of provides information to the state for our students. So there's a bit of background. All SELPAs are required to provide a local plan to CDE. But beginning in July of 2020, CDE provided templates for every SELPA to utilize in their submission. Prior to that, SELPAs could provide their local plans in a variety of different formats. So additionally, SELPA must review its local plan very much sort of like in alignment in the time frame of an LCAP. So every 3 years, you have to go through the process of updating your local plan, specifically in one specific section, which is known as Section B, which is your governance section. So we did that in my first year, and since then, this is now the last year in which we only update our annual budget plan and our annual service plan going into this upcoming year, in which we will revisit the governance structure once again for the SELPA, kind of highlighting, what our chair, Member Hawkins, said, is that that's an opportunity in which you look at the sort of the SELPA structure and you say, hey, if you need administrative support, for instance, you can build that into your local plan to say that administrative support could be of value, and you build that into the SELPA structure, and that goes into the governance piece. So as I mentioned, for the 23-24 school year, we'll be working with the CAC on updating Section B, that governance structure piece. It's very much a heavy lift that kind of outlines and describes what does the SELPA do, what does the special education department do, how do we support school sites, what are the support systems that exist, specifically when should you be calling a program specialist, what do administrators do, what are sort of the steps outlined within the special education process. So in a local plan, you have a number of different sections. So Section A is usually your contacts and services piece. Section B is that big governance structure. Section C is the annual assurance support plan, and that has yet to be released by CDE. It's sort of always been in development, so that isn't available to any SELPA. And then there's the annual budget plan in Section D and the annual service plan in Section E. So for us, we're reviewing this evening is Section A, as well as Sections D and E. So Section A really kind of goes over how do you get a hold of the SELPA? What does the SELPA do? Who are the people involved with it? What is known as the administrative unit of the SELPA? So one of the things that I want to highlight here as we go into kind of reviewing these sections is that in June, we did in fact have to cancel our CAC meeting. And as a result, then going into that June 22nd board meeting, we did pull the item because although we had made a Padlet, which is the format that we use to gain input and information and share all of the forms in the local plan, we had not had the opportunity to sit with our CAC and review all of that as a whole. So knowing that that's a requirement, we said, okay, we're going to pull it. Over the summer, I've been working with our CAC chair to try to get into the same room and review the information. Unfortunately, we haven't had that opportunity, but earlier today, she was very kind and she was able to provide me with a number of different feedback pieces that I've already changed in our Padlet, but unfortunately with obviously the agenda and the packet coming forth, those copies had already been made, but I'll highlight some of those things for us. One of the things in particular is one of those certifications, which is in that CAC piece. Like, did you review this with the CAC? She wrote a very thoughtful comment there that essentially it was not full CAC sort of conversation, but based off of the timeline and the plan that we have set forth, we are going to review not only Section A, but also Section B, the governance structure going into this upcoming school year. And then we also made an adjustment to the annual service plan. We have identified that there are students who have a need for two particular services that we had not identified before, and those are services 750, which is a note-taking service, and then 755, which is a transcription service. So I updated the local plan to include the description of what specifically those services are, so that our teams know that they can add those into IEPs, specifically for students that need those services. And so just kind of going backwards then is the other section here is the annual budget plan. And this is usually tied to that June board meeting in which we review then the projected budget for special education as well as other departments. We have an expected revenue coming in from the state of about 37 million, federal funds of about 10.7, and then a local contribution of 86.4 million, which is a total of about $134 million. Our expenditures are about 90%, not 90%, 90 million of that is in salaries and benefits. We have about $2 million in supplies, and then 38.4 million in services and other operational costs, making up that $134 million. So that kind of outlines kind of what a local plan is, kind of for this year, it's contacts, how do you get a hold of the SELPA, the projected budget, here's what's coming in from the state feds and local contribution, here's how that money is being utilized in terms of salaries, services, and supports to students, and then what does that look like with your services plan? What are those specific services? With that, I will take on any questions.
Thank you. Before we go to my colleagues' questions, do we have any public comment on this?
We do not.
Okay. To my colleagues, if you have questions around this, please hop in the queue. Member Villa.
Thank you. I know this is like such a robust program and has so many different avenues, and I appreciate you taking all of the time to explain it to us quickly, but I know it's a lot. So thank you. Our students, thank you. Our families, thank you, because without this type of roadmap and plan in place, working with these partners, I mean, our students would be the one that those are the impact. So that's really important work. I especially appreciate, because I know Section E is such a crucial part of this for what I see personally is, just making sure that we're hitting this on all sides and it's not just one plan per student. If they need more services, that we're able to provide that. So I like seeing that on there, and I appreciate all the work you do. Sometimes I read this information like, oh my gosh, it's so in-depth. There's so many pieces that go a part of this, but you handle it really well with the team. I know how hard you guys all work, so thank you for understanding and to be able to explain it to us, re-understand it. Thank you.
Okay, seeing we have no other of my colleagues in the queue, we will move to act. Thank you. Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye? Aye. We're moving to action. We're going to move into action. And so as we move into action, we're going to first go with our student board member preferential vote.
Aye.
Superintendent?
Member Villa.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Pritchett.
She's not here.
Oh, sorry. Member Phil is gone. And Member Jean.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Motion passes with all members who were there in the presence. All right. Now we're going to go to 11.0. And we're going to go into communications, interim superintendent report.
Thank you, President Rhodes. Tonight, I would like to welcome everyone back for the 23-24 school year, which is now underway. Last week, I had the privilege and the pleasure of greeting students and staff as they walked on campus for the first day of school. I visited John Sloat, Ethel Phillips, Edward Kimball, Nicholas. I dropped by Bidwell as well as Success Academy. Our Nicholas students who are currently using the space at the old CB Wire campus, I also visited there while their school is being rebuilt. As you have heard earlier this evening, so much preparation and work went into the starting of the school year off to the right track. Seeing the smiles of our students as they met their teachers and rekindled friendships made this work all the worthwhile. A special thank you to Crispin for joining me on those schools visits. Although our school year is just starting, we are excited to get our students thinking beyond their time in our schools. UCAN will host the annual Historical Black College Fair the morning of Wednesday, September 13th at Luther Burbank High School from 9 to noon. Historically Black colleges and universities can offer students a different college environment that may allow them to feel seen in ways that other schools cannot. High school students interested in participating should reach out to their school counselor's office. And we also have another event scheduled for all of our students at any grade level and their families. You can join us at Hiram Johnson High School on Saturday, September 23rd from 9 to noon for our district-wide college and career fair. Finally, this is the beginning of the year for all but one of us. This is the end of the road for a dear colleague who maybe, just maybe, will actually retire this time. Bob Lyons, this is your final board meeting as our Chief Information Officer, and we are so incredibly grateful for your years of service. We've had to rely on our technology team like never before through the pandemic, and I am so grateful that we had you to guide us during that uncertain time. You have also done a wonderful job of securing our system against cybersecurity threats. We all hope that you enjoy this long, well-deserved retirement so that you can finally travel the world and enjoy the time that you've earned thanks to your dedicated service to our district. We are truly going to miss you here at Sac City Unified. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. So for my president report, I'm actually going to defer my time to Member Segura on her, so she can do her presentation.
Thank you, President Rhodes. Just as the year gets started, we've had our first few days of school, so students are preparing for the school year, of course. So I'm really excited for what is to come, and the communication that's I'm hoping to increase among the student body of each school site campus. A lot of them seem to be a bit unaware of what the board does and what is approved upon the board. So I'm hoping that this year that can be expanded on and they can have better communication. In regards to the SAC, we had our first official meeting yesterday, so you guys will be getting to know all of the members on the council for that pretty soon. They should be coming in to introduce themselves to the board. So, yeah, I think that about sums up my report over here, so thank you for that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Member Segura. And we're going to, for my colleagues who want to do a report, please hop in the queue and we'll call on you. All right, Member Villa.
Sorry that my comments are coming off of, a positive one. So I just wanted to address this. Last night, Rockland Unified School District voted to require teachers to notify parents if their children request to be identified as anything other than their biological sex with a vote of 4-1. I want to thank Trustee Michelle Sutherland for her vote against this policy. Member Kayada and I were speaking last night as we were both watching the meeting, and we wanted to, this is a statement between the two of us, that we wanted to address this tonight. This vote was unconstitutional and dangerous to our students and our staff. I want to thank this board here in Sacramento City Unified School District and our staff that protects all of our students. Rockland is less than 30 minutes away. And this type of dangerous behavior is unacceptable. And I want to remind our community that Sacramento City Unified School District is a safe district that respects and protects all of our students. It was really hard to watch some of the comments last night from members of our community. And again, it's unacceptable, and Sacramento City Unified School District will not stand for that here.
Thank you so much, Member Villa. Do we have anyone else who would like to hop in the queue and give a report?
I'm thinking about it. Go ahead. Go ahead. There you go.
Okay, floor is yours.
I just want to congratulate the folks over at PS7 on Strawberry Lane for the groundbreaking of the renovations and the rebuilding of that particular school. Seeing a lot of the repairs and enhancements that are happening with our schools here, specific schools and not our dependent or independent charter schools, it was refreshing to actually see some new breath go into the neighborhood, especially with the new groundbreaking that's happening with Oak Ridge. So I just wanted to share that I'm really excited that we're working together and supporting our independent and dependent charters as well.
Okay, got it. All right, seeing there's no others, we'll go to item 12.0, consent agenda. We will see, do we have a motion to approve on the consent agenda? Our motion. Do we have a second? Second. Can we get student preferential
Aye.
and superintendent?
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Phillips?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
Okay, and then going off into future board meeting dates and locations, September 21st and October 3rd. Do we have a motion to adjourn? First, second, and third. Okay, all in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned. You guys have a great rest of your night.